Hello. You know, I've always amused myself at the same thing that all of us were taught growing up. Doesn't matter how much college you had. I had 6 years. Doesn't matter what your level of education is, that we're all brought up with preconceptive notions of what light is or what defines emissions. We're living in an age of Greek atomism. It's absolutely no different than ancient Greek atomism. We're taught that the entire universe is just a magical bag of particles, and Mother Nature is an insane cross-eyed hooker on crack, and that everything is mediated out by particles and charges. Now, the new Apple Watch works by inductive charging, which has nothing to do with particles. Your high-priced toothbrush works by inductive charging. Now, you can transmit power through a complete and total vacuum without the use of any power. I can hold this light bulb within about 20 feet. My buddy's got a 1,000,000-volt Tesla coil. It's actually very dangerous. I could hold it out, like about, 20 feet away, and it will light up. Fluorescent tubes work a lot better, obviously. But like here is an inductive charging coil, and hook it up to a battery of X amperage and voltage, and over here you could actually light up a light bulb. And if you actually stuck both of these units in a complete vacuum, which really is impossible to get a complete vacuum. But the point is that energy transference has absolutely nothing to do with particles. Now, this you may find fascinating, but it's a hardcore truth. Now Einstein invented nothing, by the way. Nothing. The people that gave you 100% of the world's power grid, Tesla, Faraday, Steinmetz, Maxwell, Heaviside, they all said the same thing. The notion that an electron is a particle flowing through a wire is an insane absurdity. And yet, we in our current modern day are firmly of the conviction that there are particles bumping down through the power lines and flowing through our power transformers. And this is just an absurdity. The guy that actually gave us much of our power grid, Oliver Heaviside, he called this a brain-wasting disease. I'll actually quote you Tesla in the next video on the electron. Now, what does this have to do with photography? Well, let's get down just the fundamentals just for a second, instead of pixel peeping and talking about what lens is best, or whether, Nikon is awesome or bad, or, how about we just get down to some fundamentals of photography, or photos, or light. What is light? And the notion that we all suffer that lenses somehow actually draw in particles of light. We have this notion that there is such a thing as a photon particle. Of course, this would be a lens, a number of elements that are actually taking in light and directing it to our sensor. But light has nothing to do with particles. A light bulb is certainly not emitting anything. So what is your camera? You think it's a giant funnel that actually captures photons? It's ridiculous. It captures field perturbations. Those field perturbations are columnated by lenses, and they register as voltage spikes on your RGB sensor photo sites on your camera sensor. The notion that your camera is capturing light is ridiculous. Well, of course it's capturing light, but the notion that your light is capturing photons or actual genuine quanta, something that actually has any substantiality, is an absurdity. Okay? Wireless power transmission has been a known fact for a very, very long time. There's a company that's recently come out with a bunch of patents now where you just plug in a module in your wall outlet and it'll wirelessly charge your iPhone. It works off of special Yagi technology that actually directs the signal to a certain area. However, it might make your dog drool or your cat claw itself to death because they're very sensitive to these wireless power transmissions, so you shouldn't use them if you have pets. But it charges your iPhone wirelessly. Okay, this is a known technology. Apple's in talks of buying it. It has nothing to do with particles, okay? The same thing is true of light. Now, we think we're so advanced. Here's something that is timeless. Absolutely timeless, older than the pyramids itself. And that fact is that every age thinks that it is advanced. Okay, we think we're going to advance further. We can see all sorts of technology in the future. But here we are with our laptops and our digital cameras, and we think we're so smart. We think these mostly hairless little creatures we call humans and the rest of us are so intelligent, and we really got it nailed down. We have endless branches of physics and new science every day, and we just think we're so smart with our TV sets and our laptops. We have no idea what the hell is going on. The most important word in the entire universe, unquestionably, not my opinion, is this one word. And science has never explained this word, not even 1%. I've kind of actually elaborated on it here. Freaking impossible to explain logically with descriptions, which is all we have are descriptions. Well, if we have X quantum of field in a certain area in EV volts, or X voltage here, or X amperage here, we apply this, we hook that to this, and do this over here, and do that. We know how to manipulate field endlessly. There are thousands and thousands of books on descriptions of field manipulation for power generation, power transference, collection, transmission, reception, endless algorithms, but there is no single explanation in the entire world, anywhere, that defines this most important word in the entire universe, which is field. There's only one field and 4 field modalities. Getting back to cameras here, what actually defines what your camera is capturing? Do you think it's actually capturing light, some sort of empirical, quanta? We have the notion of photons. Well, photons are hitting the no, you have field perturbations hitting your sensor. Oddly enough, by the way, right here is visible light along the electromagnetic spectrum. Over here we have gamma, over here we have radio waves, here's AM and FM. Along the electromagnetic spectrum, okay, the sample rate is a ratio of 1 to 5. The golden ratio. 1 is to 5 is 5 is to 1. That's a mathematical certainty. Guess where visible light sits? It sits right at the meridian. If you take the entire electromagnetic spectrum, it sits right at the meridian, dissectable at ratio of 1 to 5. The absolute most divine, most important ratio in the existence of the entire universe. To the Greeks Platonists, this formula, this ratio, was nothing other than intellectual pornography. It was so important. Now, going back to what you think your camera is capturing, let's just turn on the light bulb here. Now, everybody thinks a light bulb emits light. A light bulb doesn't emit anything. It, however, is constantly making a drop at a certain harmonic in the inertia of the ether. Now, quantum mechanics and general relativity don't believe in ether. They actually think this word is akin to like physics racism to use this word ether, but they've actually replaced it with something else called dark matter, and they've also replaced it with quantum fluid because they can't use the word ether. But it's the exact same thing. All they've done is rename it. Just think, every time you turn on a light bulb, you think that light bulb is emitting light? A light bulb doesn't emit anything. Your camera is not capturing anything of quanta. There is no quanta, meaning empirical. Okay? There's nothing empirical being captured by your camera. You're getting light collimation and concentration. Here's the front lens element of a broken lens. Your camera is collecting field perturbations in the visible spectrum of EM. Okay? Here's what your light bulb really is, and make it really simple. Okay? Voltage and amperage is applied. There's a 60-watt person inside this bulb waving and shaking its little hands. In this case, we have the tungsten element at X frequency and X amplitude. There is nothing at all that is emitted by either a laser. What do you mean a laser doesn't emit anything? No, a laser doesn't emit anything. It causes a coherent field perturbation at X frequency and X amplitude at X EV. In this case, watts. Okay? Inductive charging. You know, a Tesla coil can light up a bulb in a complete vacuum. Particles have nothing to do with power transmission, or they have anything to do with any aspect of electromagnetism. Frequency and amplitude are only the resultant necessitated field pressure force phenomena which manifest proportional to the drop and frequency of that drop. Remember the old analogy I was talking about a drop hitting a calm piece of a calm placid water, and that actually causing a field perturbation where waves propagate out through that field. That field is inertia. It is nothing other than a field perturbation. The only thing your camera does is it collimates and concentrates field perturbations. Okay, your camera and your lens are not funneling light. You know, your sensor is not capturing photon particles. This is an absurdity. Your camera is nothing other than a device which captures the harmonic of the electromagnetic spectrum, which sits between a ratio of 1 to 5 between gamma and radio, for example, captures field perturbations along this narrow spectrum of the EM of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your camera is a field perturbation recording device. It's like, well, what's the difference between saying that and it collects light? Well, a lot. I don't like descriptions, I like explanations. Here's something that's odd. I don't know if you know what a Yagi antenna is. Here we have a reflector, director, and a driver. Now, incoming signal, like if you want to actually boost an incoming signal, it's actually coming in from over here. Say someone's transmitting from a ship offshore and you want to find it. This is how they actually find animals out in the woods that have been tracked with radio transceivers. They use handheld Yagis. You notice that the larger element is at the rear. Contrary to a lens where the large element is in front, inverse case with electromagnetism, of course light is EM, but in either side of the visible spectrum of EM, when it comes to UV and gamma, it's inversely the case. The electromagnetic reflector for gamma and the rest, the large element, is actually in the rear, which would be just like an inverse lens, where you'd actually have the smallest element sitting out in front and the largest element in rear. And then you actually have the collector that sits at the harmonic between the reflector and the driver. Isn't that interesting? Do you care? You probably don't. You probably don't. So the most important term in the entire universe, this one, field. Not even 1% of it has been explained by your supposed advanced science. Not by even Tesla. Not by Einstein. Certainly not so by Edison. My other home is just about 20 blocks away from Thomas Edison's museum in Fort Myers. The important point is that we think we're so advanced, and every bit of humanity throughout history has always believed that they've got it down. You know, we've really got it nailed, and we don't. We turn on a light bulb every morning, every night, and we think that this thing is emitting light. It's not emitting anything. It's a field perturbation device which transforms electrical and dielectric energy throughout an alternating current or even a DC current through a spatial force amplifier, that would be the tungsten element, where the dielectric component is transformed into electromagnetic radiation. Visible light at X frequency, X amplitude, and X wattage. Okay, here's a 60-watt person inside this bulb. He can't reach outside the bulb. He's not emitting anything. Yeah, this is a really crude analogy, right? But this is the case. Everything that we think and feel and believe that our eyes see, that we're actually receiving light, our eyes are receiving light, or that our cameras are capturing light, this is absolute nonsense. It's just nonsense. It's not true. A field has nothing to do with particles. And your camera is not capturing photons. It's capturing field perturbations. Okay? Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for channel 2. We'll get back to normal photography videos here very shortly.